So teens and sleep, it can be a little bit of a battle. And now there's new numbers behind it. The American Academy of Pediatrics and American Academy of Sleep Medicine, they say teenagers need 8 to 10 hours of sleep a night. But more than half are still on their phones for at least an hour after those lights go out. Experts say phones aren't the only factor here, but poor sleep can hurt their focus, their mood, their mental health. They recommend parents set the tone with screen-free zones, no devices in your bedrooms, and even a family media lockbox to help everyone unplug together. Now, this comes as the U.S. Surgeon General is also raising some concerns about how smartphones and social media can impact children's sleep, their mental health, and their development. So on this Wellness Wednesday, we are joined live here by Dr. Carla Allen with Phoenix Children's to kind of walk us through this new warning from the Surgeon General. So what is this? Is this something new for parents to, I guess, tackle? What is this message?
It's really consistent with what we've been seeing in research for quite some time, and even guidelines from the American Academy of Pediatrics. I think what's different is they're now kind of saying we all need to be intentional about our social media use. So that includes, schools play a role in how much screen time kids get, families certainly, and social media or tech companies as well.
So we're going into the summer months, and I'd imagine some parents, it's just easier now, especially during the summer. You've got these long stretches. It's like, it's hot here. Well, now what do I do? How do I entertain them?
I think the most important thing is to not make screens, the enemy, but to be intentional about replacing that time with structured activities. So if you ask a kid, when do you feel the most like yourself, most satisfied with who you are? The answer for me has never been when they're on screens. It's when they're playing soccer or softball or out with their friends or joking around with their families. And so it's about creating that special time where screens are not allowed.
How do you convince them then to get off of that screen? Because that's difficult in itself.
It really is, and yet I would say when you ask kids what their values are, this is true for adolescents especially, what matters most to you? If they say authenticity or relationships or integrity, screen time kind of robs us of that. You've got teenagers who will sometimes edit their own photos before they post them. They know their friends are doing that too, but it still hurts their mental health. And so I try to do it from a values place and by replacing those activities with something real, in-person time.
So what kind of effects are you really seeing in these kids now? Because there is a lot coming at them. You've got the video game aspect of it, but then you also do have the whole aspect of, the mental health with they're editing their photos because they want to look a certain way. They want their skin to be flawed. There's just all these things now.
What I see with teenagers is a lot of, increasing anxiety or depression the more compulsively they use those screens. And I think that also really is driven by guilt and shame. When we're doing things that maybe aren't who we are, we feel like we've done something bad or that maybe we're bad. And so part of it, again, is replacing that time with stuff that makes them more feel like themselves. For younger kids, what we see is trouble really with eating, especially when screens are used as something to quiet kids at the dinner table. They're not getting those cues that they need for hunger and when to stop eating. So that's a problem. And then certainly sleep issues. When kids are up into the evening, those lights really interfere with our body's natural ability to fall asleep.
I was just at a graduation ceremony and there was a little girl sitting in front of me, and of course the parent gave her an iPad, which I don't blame the parent because, the girl was young, but it was just such rapid fire stuff happening on the screen, and I was like, it was overstimulating for me. I was like, well, this little girl, I'm like, oh my gosh. And I actually wonder, I wonder how that's impacting her and just as she's sitting here, because she had no idea what was going on in the graduation, but just that mental, just the visual and the mental aspect of it.
I think you're really onto something. When we use these tools as a way to help kids self-regulate, we're robbing them of the ability to learn how to self-regulate. When I was a kid, I had to learn how to be bored.
Yeah.
Right. And, kind of come up with games in my mind, certainly on road trips. Now, kids don't experience boredom or frustration in that same way. It's just constant sort of a barrage of stimuli, which is not great for developing brains.
What do you tell parents? When is it time to come see somebody like a professional for help?
Yeah. I would say when screens are crowding out what makes us human. So when we know we're not sleeping the way that we need to, when we know we're almost like addicted to the screens, where we're checking compulsively, mindlessly, where we lose track of time, tolerance can develop for these devices, where it takes more of it to feel satisfied. Those are all signs that we need to make a shift in how we're thinking.
There's some tips right there, tips for parents.
Yeah.
Doctor, thank you so much. I know we're going to have more conversations on this. Just keeps Technology just keeps coming. It's not going anywhere.
And we all need to model the right thing.
yeah,
Adults too.
We really do. I know. I need to put my phone down at night too. Just doom scrolling just right before I go to bed.